appreciate our gathering here today. This is obviously an important subject matter. And to be clear, all Americans deserve protection and to live in a free and secure society. The fundamental nature of what we expect out of government, right? Secure the blessings of liberty, as we say in the Constitution of the United States. The victims of race-based violence and their families deserve justice. And as the case, what we're talking about here with the tragedy, what we just saw occur in Atlanta, Georgia. I would also suggest that the victims of cartels moving illegal aliens deserve justice. The American citizens in South Texas that are getting absolutely decimated by what's happening at our southern border deserve justice. The victims of rioting and looting in the streets last week, businesses closed, burned, last summer, deserve justice. We believe in justice. Right? There's old sayings in Texas about, find all the rope in Texas and get a tall oak tree. We take justice very seriously, and we ought to do that. Round up the bad guys. That's what we believe. My concern about this hearing is that it seems to want to venture into the policing of rhetoric in a free society, free speech, and away from the rule of law and taking out bad guys. And as a former federal prosecutor, I'm kind of predisposed and wired to want to go take out bad guys. And that's bad guys of all colors. That's bad guys of all persuasions. That's bad guys targeting people for all different reasons. And I think we need to be mindful of that. And so now we're talking about whether talking about China, the Chi-Coms, the Chinese Communist Party, whatever phrasing we want to use, and if some people are saying, hey, we think those guys are the bad guys, for whatever reason. And let me just say clearly, I do. I think the Chinese Communist Party running the country of China, I think they're the bad guys. And I think that they are harming people, and I think they are engaging in modern-day slavery, and I think that what they're doing to the Uyghurs, and I think that what they're doing targeting our country, and I think that what they're doing to undermine our national security, and what they're doing to steal our intellectual property, and what they're doing to build up their military and rattle throughout the Pacific, I think it's patently evil and deserving of condemnation. And I think that what they did to hide the reality of this virus is equally deserving of condemnation. And there's hardly any getting around that in fact happened, right? We've got, the World Health Organization, on Twitter saying preliminary investigation conducted by the Chinese authorities found no clear evidence of human-to-human transmission of the novel coronavirus. WHO had to go back and redo all of that. We know full well, I've got a bill that I introduced to posthumously award a Congressional Gold Medal to Dr. Li-Wenliang for coming out and exposing what the Chinese Communist government had done to hide the virus. Dr. Wenliang was a 34-year-old ophthalmologist in Wuhan, China, who died from the 2019 coronavirus after he sought to draw attention to the spread of the virus. Research indicates the first patient infected exhibited symptoms in early December 2019. On January 3rd, after raising concerns about the spread, Dr. Wenliang and 7 other doctors were detained and questioned by Chinese officials. He was forced to sign a statement retracting his warnings and confessing he had spread illegal rumors. That's the reality, and he ended up dying, but he was beaten. They were targeted for engaging in free speech, for trying to bring to light what was happening. And that's the reality of what I tend to refer to as the Chi-Coms. And I'm not going to be ashamed of saying I oppose the Chi-Coms. I oppose the Chinese Communist Party. And when we say things like that, and we're talking about that, we shouldn't be worried about having a committee of members of Congress policing our rhetoric because some evildoers go engage in some evil activity as occurred in Atlanta, Georgia. Because when we start policing free speech, we're doing the very thing that we're condemning when we condemn what the Chinese Communist Party does to their country. And that's exactly where this wants to go. This is the road this wants to head down. And nothing could be more dangerous than going down that road. Because who decides what is hate? Who decides what is the kind of speech that deserves policing? A panel? A panel of this body? A panel in the executive branch? A panel of the Department of Justice? And then what does that mean? Who's deciding? When we get into making crimes out of thought, crimes out of speech, as opposed to crimes out of the actions of evildoers. Find those who perpetrated what happened in Atlanta. Find those who engage in hate of all forms and punish the absolute hell out of them. But don't go around policing thought. And I'd add one other thing. I hope today's hearings will examine this discrimination against Asian Americans in educational settings, a matter that the Trump administration prioritized, took seriously, and acted upon. In October, for example, the Department of Justice sued Yale for race and national origin discrimination after determining that Yale was non-compliant with Title VI of the '64 Civil Rights Act, which prohibits federal financial assistance to any program engaged in racially discriminatory practices. Following a 2-year investigation, the Department of Justice concluded that Asian American and white students have only 1/10 to 1/4 of the likelihood of admissions as African American applicants with comparable academic credentials. The Justice Department alleged that Yale discriminated against Asian Americans by favoring certain applicants based upon their race, rather than looking for race-neutral alternatives to achieve the university's goals. Then Assistant Attorney General for the Civil Rights Division explained, all persons who apply for admission to colleges and universities should expect and know that they will be judged by their character, talents, and achievements, and not the color of their skin. To do otherwise is to permit our institutions to foster stereotypes, bitterness, and division. I couldn't agree more. However, only 2 weeks into President Biden's term, the Biden administration suddenly reversed course and dropped the lawsuit against Yale. Mr. Chairman, I'll close, but I'll just say I hope this is the direction we'll go. I hope we'll look at this and we'll look through the lens of clarity and objective truth, trying to seek justice and not trying to police speech and trying to achieve the objectives we want to achieve. And I thank the chairman.